it's Drybear. Neversink, the solo dev that works on a lot of the loot filters and FilterBlade for Path of Exile, has finally released the full 0.5 or 2 version of FilterBlade and the brand new loot filters online. So if you're playing on PC for Path of Exile 2, you'll want to start upgrading to these new loot filters. Full filter release is out on the GitHub profiles where you can find all the raw filters, and he's also done what he does in Path of Exile 1, which is put scaling filters based on how strict you want them to be, and we'll walk through all of that as well. And keep in mind that he does this as part of his desire. He's an excellent dev that does all this, so if you want to support him, go to the links listed below. I'll have this link down to the GitHub as well if you want to support him and how that works. Now, if you don't want to get the raw files directly from his GitHub here, you can actually just go here to the GitHub, get the source code. This will have all the filters in it, and he'll be continuing to update these. But you can see this just came out just a few minutes ago, so that one's all stacked up there. But he has finally put the companion website FilterBlade up, filterblade.xyz. I'll leave a link to that down below in the comments and the description as well. And not only can you download his default filters, which will work for most players, but also there is a nice GUI setup for you to be able to change how the filter works and looks if that's what you're looking for, which looks like this here. So this is FilterBlade. This is what he built for Path of Exile 1. It is now set up for Path of Exile 2. So if you go to filterblade.xyz and click on FilterBlade, you can go to PoE 1 or PoE 2 up here in the top. But you'll notice that if you go to the overview and you kind of log in, you can actually set the 6 filters that he has set up here. Soft is basically default. It doesn't really have anything major hidden at all. You can also use regular, which has a little bit of strictness. It removes some of the annoyance of the items that aren't really worth much at all. Then you can move to semi-strict. I would say this is kind of like where most people want to start. Most of the things that drop on the ground that get filtered out by semi-strict really aren't that important at all, even if you're just starting out in the game. Then you move to strict. And this is actually, so I would say that for most players, you probably want to run the semi-strict filter until you get to endgame. And then when you first start endgame, like you open the atlas and you start doing endgame, I would move to strict. This is the first step in endgame where it'll filter most of the useless stuff. However, it will still show all waystones. Waystones have tiers on them and they go up in value. The higher tier the waystone is, the more loot you could potentially get, but also the more dangerous the monsters are. And that's part of building that. And I would say stay on strict until you get used to understanding how to manage the income of your maps, right? Your waystones, if you don't manage them properly and use them correctly, you could run out of them. You can go into a waystone recession and not have enough of them. And so if you start moving up to these higher strict values, you might hide waystones that you could otherwise use to reforge to get better waystones, or that you could use to traverse the map very easily. Then when you move up to very strict, that's when it starts hiding waystones. So tier 1 through 6, then you go up to tier 1 through 13, and then finally it'll hide most things. Like this is when you're just very, very, very super end game. You've done about 1,000 maps. You've cleared it. You've got, your citadels, and you're just looking for hyper efficient farming loot. So you don't have to spend a lot of time selling or salvaging and things like that. So you have these kind of 4 or 5 options that I would look at here. Now, what's cool is if you download from the GitHub, you will actually get the files for this for all 6 of these filters, and you'll be able to show them in game, which is awesome. However, if you wanted to make your own filter, it is very easy to write in the syntax into the file, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to, because he's got it set up on the website for you to be able to control what things look like. And actually, as you change this, you'll be able to see what gets hidden, what doesn't. So like if we go to soft, we'll notice that basically everything is shown. But if we go to uber strict, you can see that basically these orbs get hidden, these get hidden. It shows you what gets shown and what they look like when they get dropped on the ground, which is super useful. And you can play around with the visual aesthetic of these, how these show up for you, the sounds that they play, how big the text is, what icon comes along with it. And this may sound like, it's not really all that important, but every second matters when you're trying to farm efficiently to get to the highest level. So you can actually just swap through these on the website and see where these are. And you can even go into styles and change all the different styles of the filter, like the visuals of it. You can put custom sounds in as part of the file. And all this now works in Path of Exile 2, which is really cool. Now, there's not a whole lot of modular changes that are available now when you click on mods, but there will be more being added over time, which is a really cool system to look at. You can also look at customize to see all the different things that go through that, and you can change how these look as well when they're on the ground. You can simulate to see all the different values here. You can change the zone level, what items are on there. You can generate loot to see what it might look like for you in game. You can import from PoE. You can even actually export directly to PoE if you wanted to, but we'll go over how to install these in a little bit towards the end of the video, so we can kind of go through that. You can play with the style and the advanced filters and all of that. Now let's show off why this is actually so important before we talk about how to install these and how to import and export. So I have a whole bunch of various things that I put in my inventory now, so I can show you what they look like on the ground. So if we go to our filter here, and you can actually turn these on and off as much as you want. So if I go to none, I'll turn off all of my filters here. You'll notice that when I put these on the ground, a lot of these very important currencies look identical. Like they all just have the same look, the same vibe, the same presentation, the same sound, the same everything. You have waystones on the ground, they all look the same, everything looks the same. Which, you know, when you're running through a room and you have all these chilling on the ground, and you have to kind of sit and look at it, and I can tell you right now that a lot of these items have very, very different values. Extremely different values. Like these all look the same, but they are not made the same at all. And you have like items that look like that. So this is without a filter. You'll walk in a room and you'll see everything, and you don't really know what to pick up. There's a whole bunch of valuable stuff on the ground. There's a whole bunch of low value stuff on the ground. And even between these, you can see all the waystones look the same. The ultimatums and the coins for Sekhmet look the same, and they really shouldn't. So if we go and we update this to, let's say, put a strict filter on, whoa, okay, so now we've got a little bit of a presentation change for this. This is pretty sweet. You can also already see, by the way, that some of the most important things like Chaos Orbs or Jeweler Orbs, very important items, look very different. The one thing that's also super cool about this is you can see that the ultimatums look different too. So I very specifically pulled from my stash ultimatums and the coins that look differently, so we can clean this up really quick. You can see a lot of these look very different. So let's grab all these except for the ultimatums and those. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so you can see here, I specifically grabbed low-level and high-level Sekhmet and ultimatum coins. These are super important because the first two ascendancies you unlock in the game, Sekhmet and Trial of Chaos, so Sekhmet in normal campaign Act 2 and Trial of Chaos in normal campaign Act 3, that's how you get your first 2 and 4 ascendancy points to unlock your ascendancy. However, to get your 3rd and 4th ascendancy to unlock more of your ascendancy points, the amount of trials and the level on it matters. So you can see how these darker ones are lower level. I grabbed some low level ones I had from my alt. This one has number of trials 1, area level 28. So this one would work for giving you your first ascendancy, but no more than that. If you already have your ascendancy class chosen, this is basically a worthless coin to you, and you can see that they're very different. But next to it, I have a Jinbaria, which is amount of trials 4, so 4 floors, 80 area level 80, and this will grant more. This will give you your 3rd ascendancy and potentially even your 4th if you wanted to do that. And they look different, and they also stand out a lot more. Same thing for ultimatum. You can see this only has 4 trials at level 43. This one has 10 trials at level 79. So if you wanted to do your 3rd ascendancy with this, you absolutely could, and having them look different is actually insanely, insanely awesome. Then you have some things that are a little bit rarer that you might want to pick up here, and you can even see that some of the waystones look different. So they actually have their own presentation. The rarity shows up, which is really nice as well. All of that makes it look really clean. The precursor tablets, if they're just basic, will kind of show up differently there as well. So we have those showing up, which is a really clean presentation. And their rarity, as well as their, like, the actual name of it matters as well. And they pop out a lot more. So having that difference here, so if we just toss a bunch of stuff on the ground, even just having those different, like this, throw it all on the ground, boom. You can see how this looks when you walk into a room versus if we go here and we turn off our filter. Very different experience. Very, very different. And it's very important for you to be able to have those kinds of things, right? And another thing that's super important too, if we take, do I have a, yeah, Scroll of Wisdom. You'll notice that some of these really unimportant items just get completely overridden, right? So we have this. Even though there's a bunch of stuff on the ground, you can hold Alt to show it. At the highest filtering level, it makes the experience of going through and clearing stuff way better because you'll be able to determine what's useful, what's not, and how to filter through it. Now let's talk about how you install loot filters. It is very simple on PC. As far as I know, there's no way to currently use filters on console, unless you do some like really roundabout stuff. But on PC, it's very straightforward. So you just hit escape, you go to options, and you go to game, and on game, you will have your item filters here in the top left corner. So all you have to do is get to your screen here. Now, you'll be able to reload the filter and select from the filters you have on here, but you can also open your filter file folder, which would take you directly to the location where this is on your PC. So if we open this, it should open Explorer automatically, which should look like this. It should just be your, like whatever your username is on Windows, Documents, My Games, Path of Exile 2. So if you just go to My Games, Path of Exile 2, you'll have this folder here. This will normally be empty. And what you can do is when you download, if you download it from the GitHub, just dump everything in here, and all that really matters is going to be these .filter files. So you can see how I have all these like .filter files that we just put in. .filter is here, and you'll see that they show up automatically in game as long as they're in this specific file folder. Now, I've heard tons of stuff of people saying that they can't find this folder or it's not there. You can very easily, if it's not there, you can just go ahead and create it. So if you have My Games, this is a global, like on your, this is just created by Windows. If you have a My Games folder, you can create a folder called Path of Exile 2, and in this folder you can dump all the things that you need, and it should start working from there. If not, try verifying your files on whatever platform you're using it on and make sure everything is set up. But all you have to do is take those files directly from the executable or the zip file, dump those here inside of the Path of Exile 2 folder, and you'll have that showing up in game this way. Now, it gets even easier if you're having trouble doing the base files for the installation of this. You can just go to FilterBlade and go to the export to PoE option. It will require you to log into your PoE account. Just click the login option that shows up here if you're not logged in. When you click on that, it'll take you to a interim page that will allow you to log in through the pathofexile.com website and then redirect you back to this page. And this is what it will look like here. So once you have it customized the way that you want it to, you can show how things look up. You can mess with all of these. You can change the sounds on it. There's default sounds that come with it. You can customize the filter however you want. If you want to have specific things happen for you, then go to export, give it a name, and just put that in there, and you'll be able to export. Now, it looks like he is thinking about console. He has been very vocal about this, that the only limitation for Xbox and PlayStation for console has been GGG, like grinding your games. The devs themselves just need to be able to support it, and he's ready to go. He even has this as an option for exporting here. Although, as far as I know, there's no way to install these. He does seem to have it set up so that if they turn that on, they'll be able to put filters on Xbox for everybody there. Then you can set it to public, you can give it a description, you can have it load, and you can even just sync it directly into your game, which will have its own process here. You can have an auto update as well if you want to donate to his Patreon. He has this integrated where you can actually just like automatically, as the filter gets updated and gets better over time, it'll automatically update and sync into your game as well. So all of that is loaded into your game here if you export. And then once you have it, you can just sync or download, hit this button. You can save and sync, which means that it'll upload your filter directly to your PoE account. Once it's directly on your PoE account, it'll show up in game automatically. And again, once they enable it for console, having the filter on your PoE account should allow this to show up on console, and maybe even with the discussion we have tomorrow, they'll be able to get this working as well. Or you can just go ahead and save and download, and then you can put it into your folder or export it directly into the game as well. Very easy to do, easy steps. You can kind of click on one of these. You can get all the different filter options, and I think this is a great step as well, because it means that you can go here, and as you need specific things for what you're looking for, you can set the different filter options and have those going there, which is going to make a massive difference in your farming, especially once you make it to the Atlas endgame and you're pushing better loot. Being able to filter through it, and also gives you that dopamine when you have a different sound on something really useful. All of that is really nice. So I'll leave all the links down below. Get these if you don't already, and hopefully we see an update from GGG on the console side of things. If you hear about anything more, leave that down in the comments for others as well. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.